Yep, this is probably overengineered. Alright, so here's my problem. Yep. It's my laziness. But before you click off, let me explain. So I have some browser extensions, and if you watched the last video, you would know a bit about those. And they're spread out across the different web stores because it's on Chrome, it's on Edge, it's on Firefox. And I like to check the stats for all the platforms. I mainly like to check the number of users I've got to see how it's progressing over time. And since they're spread out between different platforms, there's not one place where I can get like regular notifications about how the extensions are actually doing. So my idea is to make a script that checks the number of users I've got on all the platforms for all my extensions, and then automatically email it to myself every week so I can keep track of it without having to open up the platforms. I'm also going to make a web app where I can add and remove extensions if I make any new ones. In theory, this could also be used to track extensions which aren't mine, but I didn't think about that until I finished this video, so yeah. So here's how long it would take for me to do it manually. Not really saving a lot of time there, are we? So let's spend hours and hours. Let's spend many hours trying to automate this problem. Because, you know, I can save that much time every week. Why not? So I started with emails first. And to do this, I chose to use Python because it's nice and I like it the most. But I actually forgot how to send emails with Python. So I did some research and I found this article and I just copied it and used it. Just copied it straight from this. And it worked. It worked pretty well. But then I had some issues with authenticating with Gmail, and I realized I had to set up this whole thing with like app passwords, and it couldn't get access to my account to send emails from it. I had to switch accounts. It was like really annoying, but I did get it done in the end. I ended up swapping out like the straight SMTP library for Yagmail, and it like massively decreased the amount of code I had to write, so I was happy with that. Spoiler alert though, me from the future, I ended up swapping out this whole thing anyways, and I used a separate service to send the emails because the way I was hosting this app, it blocked my ability to send emails. But that was emails done. So next it was time for the API. So this is what's actually going to communicate with my Python script and the database. I decided to use the Hono.js framework. I've never used it before. I thought it would be a fun time to try it. For my database, I decided to use SQLite, and I wanted to use the Drizzle ORM to make it easy to read and write from my database. I fought with it for a long time, and I ended up giving up because it was like 3 AM. Okay, so I've been fighting with this for so long. For some reason, I'm just not understanding how this works. I've read the doc. I just don't know what's going on. I think I'm just lost. It's like 2 AM. I thought ORMs was supposed to make my life easier, but it's actually not doing that. Please, I want to make something instead of fighting with, like, where are my types? What's going on? Yeah, I moved on. The next day, I ended up watching this tutorial about SQLite, and I ended up just scrapping Drizzle entirely, got rid of it. I managed to get some basic tables set up, and then I started working on the actual endpoints themselves. But before that, here's the data model. It went through many iterations to get to this point, but essentially it's a table to store each app and a table to store all of the stats for the extension. By stats, I just mean user counts. That's pretty much all I'm checking, to be honest. Could have done more, but that's the main thing I'm really looking at, to be honest. So the API changed a lot of times over the course of me making it, but I ended up with all the endpoints I needed to get the list of apps, add and remove counts for those apps, and it was working quite well. Then I quickly built myself a web app so I could interact with the API much more easily. So here's what I did. I spent a worrying amount of time trying to remember how to add custom fonts, just felt. Then it went from this to this, and we were making good progress. After working on it a bit, I added the form so you could actually add apps. I was having issues with the form. I ended up doing some API magic to make it work. Okay, so I did get it to work. So now when you enter an app, it does work. This is one I just entered. Can't be bothered to do it again. Only problem is I just found out that I don't have anything in place to check for like duplicate short names, because that's kind of how I'm identifying all of these, by the short names, so they've got to be unique. So if they're not, causes a bit of an issue. As you can see, these both have the same short name, but only the first one shows up. So I've got to fix that. Don't know why I didn't think about that before now, but yeah. After fixing the issue with the duplicate names, it was all good. Then I remembered that I completely forgot to add the ability to remove apps, so I did that too. I don't know why this slipped my mind, but yeah, I implemented that pretty quickly. Then all I had to do was host it, and it would be done. So this was the API and the web stuff out of the way. Now I left the best till last, the actual web scraper. You know, the whole point of this, the thing that actually gets the data. So on all of the extension pages, they all show how many users each extension has at that time. So my plan was to use a script to scan all of these pages essentially and look for that number where they put the number of users you have, and then enter that into my database. But first, before I did that, I had to learn how web scraping worked because I've actually not really had a reason to do it before this point, so I had to figure that out first. I started scoping out the pages so I knew which HTML tags to look for, so I knew what to put into my web scraping script. The idea was to have that script run every day to collect the data from the extensions and then have a weekly one that gets sent to my inbox updating me with the changes since last week. Anyways, here's past me testing out the scripts once I'd finished them. Okay, I think it's finally time to test this. I've written the script now. I've got all the stuff in it. So if I run this, it should work as expected, hopefully. If I do this properly, it should give me the right numbers. So let's see if this works. Alright, moment of truth. Ooh. Okay, we got some things to fix. Okay, I'll fix that and I'll come back. Okay, I found it because I had a hidden $sign right there, so I'm going to get rid of that. Then we're going to see if this works. Let's give it another test. Looks fine. We can test it. Ooh! There's new data there. That's so good. That's exactly what I wanted to see. There we go. It's working. Now we should set up the email script. And we're good. That's great. This is so good. Okay, so I'm finally done with the script that should have all the data to put into the email now. This is all set up. This is the email. This is me getting all the data. This should be done now. So I'm going to try this. All I have to do is type in weekly and we'll give it a test. Okay, should be there. Oh, there we go. That's it. That's the email right there. There we go. It's pretty much done now. Sick. So yeah, that was the script part done. So all of the components were done. All I needed to do was host and set everything up to make sure it all communicated with each other nicely. So I wrote a ton of Docker files, GitHub actions, got everything hosted, all of that good stuff. Then I set up cron jobs, which essentially lets me run any script at a given time interval. So I can set it to run every day, every month, every fourth day of the month, or whatever I'm thinking. I can set it up using a cron job. So I set the scraping script to run once a day and the email script to run once a week. Once I'd done that, the project was done. I'm just choosing to ignore like the hours and hours I spent fighting with Docker containers and networking, and this working on the host machine and not the Docker container, but it worked on the VPS but not on my machine, and the SMTP ports. It was so annoying. The video would be way too long if I detailed all that stuff. So did I just make this whole thing just for 2 extensions? Yep, that's right. Thanks for watching. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I'm still kind of figuring out how to make videos, so feedback would be great. Yeah, just thanks so much. This was a lot of fun to make, but it was also a lot of effort. It was quite difficult. Most of my Christmas break has been spent working on this, which is fine. I enjoy it. But yeah, it's just been fun, so thanks so much. More in the future. I'm still not 100% sure what kind of stuff I want to make going forwards, but I'll keep posting. Can't guarantee the frequency, but I can guarantee that I'll be posting. So, awesome. Thanks so much. See you in the next one, hopefully. Completely forgot to mention that it's almost 2026. If things go to plan, this should be out before the new year. So, hopefully, I will see you guys in the new year.